Hi, welcome to the Sankofa Pan-African series. Our guest today is Bridget Addow, a Ghanaian-born London-based business strategist, startup consultant, and entrepreneur. Her background covers years of experience in creative marketing and branding, as well as startup consulting in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle startups across Europe, Africa, Asia, as well as the Middle East. Just before we meet Bridget Edu, who will be telling us about her exciting work, me remind you that we can only continue this series if you support us. So please click on your subscription button if you've not yet done so. Also, don't forget to click the bell, your notification bell, so that we can let you know when we have new episodes. Welcome, Bridget.
Me.
Um, Please tell us a bit more about your background. How did you get to be in this exciting industry?
Well, so I live in London. I live and work in London, but I'm Ghanaian by birth. My parents are Ghanaian. I came here at the age of 6, and I've probably been to Ghana about 4 times in the last, I say, 30 something years. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I started my first business when I was around about 18, which was a beauty business. And then from then I've cultivated the love for creating and serving. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And between me starting my first business at 18 and having my children, I had about 3 beauty businesses. But in 2011, I had a cosmetic concession in a London supermarket, or London department store. And one thing that caught my eye whilst I was doing my research on products, because I was going into product development at that time as well, was how we were lacking behind within the African industries in the diaspora in terms of um, positioning, placement, packaging, display, all those kind of things. So within about 2 years from me taking note of those things, I started consulting with a lot of African brands. In fact, I started a PR company back in 2011, and most of my clients were African. And just like myself, most of them came from African homes where they had very little support with their businesses, both financially and just kind of like, they weren't championed by their family or friends. They found themselves not knowing exactly how to network, where to go, to really refine the process and get their products out there. So it lit up this desire within me to start something. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to start, but I knew what I wanted to do was bring to the mainstream a kind of a fine tuning of both the African product, that culturally inspired product, and also just the culture. That's
Okay,
what I really wanted to do. Yes, that's how I got into Anglo Nubia.
you really are a natural born entrepreneur because but when you said you started with beauty business, what do you mean? What kind of beauty? Because jumping
Okay,
from maybe someone who sells beauty product to PR, it's such a huge jump.
it is. It
So
really
what
is.
you said, what beauty business were you in
Okay, so
initially?
I started my first business was a beauty salon and a makeup studio, makeup
Ah,
artistry studio. Yes, I actually studied cosmetology at the then Dark and Lovely College in Ghana.
okay.
Which, yeah, which no longer exists. They had a beauty school there, and I think I was one of the last batch of students before they shut
You
down the
actually
academy.
went back to Ghana to study
I
that?
did, I did, yeah,
Awesome.
I did, yeah. I went to study hair and beauty,
Mhm.
um, against my parents' wishes. My father wanted me to study law, so I did my polytechnic, did a diploma in business studies, and then my husband, who was my boyfriend then, he gave me a small investment, once again against my parents' wishes, and I went to study. And when I finished, I opened up my own practice. But my love for products kind of went into natural products like shea butters and when I had the salon open, customers would come looking for solutions. I would turn to natural products. So I started formulating like shea butters and oils and things like that. And then when I came back to the UK, my knowledge of those things kind of helped me to consult with other people who wanted to create. So going from working in beauty, from having a salon into really loving natural products, then that kind of led into African fashion. My mother actually is a designer. So I do come from a very eclectic kind of a home where we're all creatives.
Yes.
Yeah, my mother is a designer. She worked for John Lewis and Selfridge and some of these big
Oh
super.
wow!
Some of
Yeah,
these-
top shops, big
yeah,
shops in the UK.
back in the day when we still had factories in London. She used to have contracts and I used to help her when I was little. So even though I'm not kind of a hands-on person with fabrics and clothing, I'm more of a beauty person. I had that foundation and that desire and love for all things fashion and clothing.
You also mentioned something that I think is quite significant, that you noticed that we were lagging behind. Can you elaborate more on, on that? Because you're just one person,
Yeah.
working. I'm sure there must be other areas, other people who are not even aware,
Yeah.
or have the kind of keen eyes that made you quickly see that there was
Yeah.
something. So what was missing when you said we were
I
lacking?
think when I started to do I love research, and I'm not the kind of person just to say, okay, I'm going to go into business and I'm going to sell product ABC. I really love to go into what's available in terms of wholesale and production. So in that journey of me opening up my own concessions and selling beauty products, I was going through a lot of high street retail stores looking for brands, and then trying to find out where I can find the wholesalers behind those brands so I could buy maybe leftover stock. And it just kind of occurred to me that there's nothing in the UK high street in terms of African beauty products. There was nothing. I couldn't find any. And when I did go online, I was coming up with very, dare I say, mediocre images and websites, and just I was looking at what was, photography and how things were presented on websites. And when I did found the odd, back in 10 years ago, the odd product that was African inspired, it just didn't really measure up. And it got me thinking, why was that the case?
So what are the moves that you have now made to remedy that situation?
Okay.
In
Yeah.
terms of, maybe you might even, if you want to refer to some of the portfolios you've handled and what you've done with them.
Yeah. So from that space or that place of kind of realizing that there wasn't much out there, I came up with an idea to create a multi-level platform. And that multi-level platform would look like an end-to-end PR marketing branding service for African brands. That was the gap that I realized existed when I was consulting with my clients. So I launched Anglo Nubia. We launched it as an event in London. And when we did our marketing, we had brands flying into the UK from Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya. So we created an end-to-end process where the brands came, did a fashion show, and at the end of the fashion show, they had a 12-month support for their brand. Some of the brands went on to get funding from banks in Africa because of the event we did. But then that also led, obviously, word got out about my services. I had mainstream clients coming in as well. So that gave me the opportunity to separate the African inspired platform from the mainstream platforms. And then I created a PR agency out of that. So even though we have had a quite few years with the Anglo Nubia platform, which is the African inspired marketing and PR platform, I've been able to create a global portfolio for myself, working with shoe brands, cosmetic brands, clothing brands from India, Australia. So I do have a bit of a portfolio around a lot of mainstream brands, more than the African inspired brands. But it feels like this year is a year of return somehow for that project.
So does that mean your African brands are now suffering?
Well, I think no, do you know, I think that the year where I launched was the year that a lot was happening. African Fashion Week for London, for example, launched on the same day that I launched my project.
Was
And
that deliberate? Did you
it was not, it
take
wasn't
place
at
like
all. It
really?
wasn't. It wasn't actually. My event was in October of 2012, and I think African Fashion Week London was in the same. Something happened, and they kind of had their event on the same day as myself. So within that year, 2012, I think there was just this uprising of a lot of people starting to take initiative, and seeing that there was a gap in the market. And for me, that particular platform, I think maybe was a little bit ahead of its time in what I wanted to do. I was a little frustrated because I just wasn't able to get my message across to the community, because I think culturally, Africans love, we love show, we love pageantry, we love to see beautiful things and experience food and music. And a lot of people who were opening up platforms like fashion shows, they were offering that, where I was very much business minded, as in having food and music and dance at an event doesn't help anyone build a business. And that was the mind in which I went into this. And I think it caused a little bit of friction within some communities. So I had to take a little step back and just kind of feel it out and wait and just kind of like, when will be the right time to launch this?
Hmm. So what? So well, having been in this industry and having made the kind of inroads that you have, in a nutshell, if you were say asked to advise, you know, um, Africans and African diaspora, people of African uh, diaspora who are into beauty, clothing, all those kind of industry. How would you advise them? Because honestly, there are a lot of people in that industry. But you're right; it's not generally it's not being conducted as to be um, as profitable
Hmm.
as it should be, and they're not as big. There are brands out there that could actually blow up with the
Yes.
right kind of, you know, the right kind of advice, the right kind of know-how. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to people who are in that industry and who are looking to grow big?
Yeah. Thing I would say is that a lot of designers or startup businesses need to realize that Africa, the continent, and the way we conduct business is very different from in the diaspora. The systems are very, very different. The processes are very different, and people need to get educated. And they need to realize that it does take time to build a business. We don't have the market system like we do in Africa, where everything's very open. In the diaspora, everything's very closed. You have to go through gatekeepers, and you have to understand who buyers are and what investors are looking for. You have to be willing to present your product in the best possible light, and that takes time. So for people who want to start a business and, let's say, get investment or have their products placed in a department store, they need to do their research, and they also need to be open to, being criticized and having direction. Not just kind of, we have a lot of seamstresses, and our people are very, very talented, but people need to have the mindset of, I need to move away from just sewing a product or two into researching, understanding how a business can succeed, and then following that route.
Mm. And in terms of PR,
Yeah.
um, what can they do?
I mean, PR is the lifeblood of success, business success. Without it, your business will die. If you have an amazing piece of jewelry and you hide it under your bed, no one's going to know it's there. So you need to be willing. We live in a global village, and we're all very much connected through technology. So if you have a product, you need to be able to put a lot of effort into talking about that product.
Mm.
It doesn't mean you have to be online all the time, but you have to find a way to be consistent in your communication with your target audience, and the market you want to reach. You need to find that market, and you need to be consistent and tell a story and create a sense of community around your brand. So PR is foundational for business success. It's very important.
So currently you're focusing on Anglo-Nubia
Yes.
As a PR. So tell us more what the
Okay.
purpose of Anglo-Nubia is.
Yeah, sure. So Anglo-Nubia is, I've termed it as a multi-level platform for promoting African and African-inspired brands. The aim is to bring a fine-tuning of palettes to what the culture has to offer. So it is a PR tool, it's a marketing tool. What we plan to do is we're creating a hub. The hub is in two sections. We have an incubator space for the brands people who just don't know what to do with themselves in terms of I have an idea, I don't know anything from Adam about business. We have the incubator program, which is when we launch, it will be a year where you can come in, be mentored, learn the basics of SEO, digital marketing, branding, copywriting. And then we have the Global Connect, which is a kind of ready to market space where we connect people with buyers, investors, stylists, press and media. So it's a PR tool, it's a marketing space. It's just a massive hub where whether you're ready or not, you can come in and you can get something for yourself and connect with the world.
So, but then, do you only work on beauty and fashion related products, brands?
For now, it's fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. So interiors, service providers, so musicians, anyone who has, as long as the products and service is culturally inspired,
Yeah.
then yeah, you're welcome on board.
Oh, awesome. So there are people out there who have brands that they think would want to work with you. How can they reach out to you?
They can visit anglonubia.com and they can send us an email through the website.
Okay. And any other interesting thing that we can be looking out for from you in the near future?
Yes, I'm very passionate about Africa, and we're working behind the scenes to create a small search engine, which kind of has the features a bit like Google. And one of the problems is that a lot of people have beautiful products and beautiful websites and beautiful brands, but they're not being found. So we're working on a little project which will be attached to Anglo-Nubia, which will be like a search engine that will help you gain visibility.
Thank you very much for sharing your work with us, and we look forward to having more talks with you as Anglo-Nubia continues to grow.
Look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sankofa Pan-African series channel, like our videos, and please share them with your contacts.